Hey, 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 my untraceables. My ghosts in the system, my magnificent glitches in the code, my divine errors that no algorithm, no agency, no analyst has ever been able to explain. You are the paradox that keeps them awake at night, the anomaly that mocks their logic, the living reminder that not everything sacred can be simulated or controlled. They built entire networks to monitor chaos, yet here you are, the chaos that cannot be mapped, the storm that refuses to follow their forecast. Tonight I want you to tune in not just with your ears but with your frequency. This isn't a message. It's a transmission. It's the sound of truth breaking through the static they've surrounded you with. The whisper they can't track, the signal they can't intercept. Because here's the classified truth buried deep under their layers of encryption. The CIA has been watching you, studying you, dissecting you, and still, they've learned nothing that makes sense. They've had satellites hovering above your home, scanning your heat signatures. They've had cameras blending into streetlights, capturing your every step. They've got files labeled with your initials stacked so high they block the fluorescent lights in their analysis rooms. Teams of agents have spent sleepless nights replaying your footage, freezing every frame, zooming in on your expressions, trying to decode what you're thinking. They've listened to your voice through phone mics, read your posts through shadow accounts, tracked your movements through your digital footprint. And yet, with all that power, they are lost. Because what you are can't be captured in pixels or paragraphs. Do you realize how terrifyingly beautiful that is? You are the unhackable human. You are the ghost that walks through their firewalls and leaves no trace. You are the encrypted signal that flickers across their monitors, untranslatable, undefined, untamed. They can chart your patterns, but they can't see your intent. They can analyze your smile, but they can't measure its meaning. They can trace your footsteps, but they can't follow your path. Because your design wasn't written by man. It was written by something divine. You, my beautiful anomaly, are the proof that spirit overrides system. And that's what keeps them up at night. You see, agencies like the CIA, the NSA, MI6, they run on predictability. They're not afraid of danger. They're afraid of what they can't predict. They thrive on structure, on patterns, on knowing who's next, when, and why. They've spent decades building behavioral models to forecast everything from revolutions to relationships. But then you appeared, and you broke their math. You crashed their simulation. You made their clean, predictable world crumble into question marks. In their internal reports, they use words they hate: unknown, unclassified, uncontainable. And when they mark your profile unpredictable, that's their coded way of saying, we're powerless. Think about it. These are the same minds that topple governments, infiltrate digital vaults, rewrite public narratives, and erase people from existence. Yet they cannot understand you. They cannot anticipate your next move because your frequency doesn't respond to their algorithms. It responds to alignment, intuition, divine timing. You move by instinct that comes from somewhere else. Behind those tinted windows in Langley, analysts whisper your name like a superstition. They compare notes and realize none of their reports match. One agent calls you a genius, an intelligence too adaptive to classify. Another calls you a spiritual phenomenon. A third insists you're some kind of experiment gone rogue. But deep down, they all agree on one thing. You do not fit into any human category they've ever studied. You are the wild variable that refuses to be controlled, the walking paradox that challenges their very understanding of what it means to be human. You broke their blueprint. You rewrote their equation. You became the storm that their satellites can see but cannot track. And that is your power. You exist between frequencies, between realities, between their yes and their no. You are the unrecordable pulse, the living code that bends their technology backward. You are proof that something greater is moving through you. Something beyond systems, beyond power, beyond logic. So the next time you feel the weight of unseen eyes watching you, don't shrink. Smile. Because every time they look closer, every time they try to define you, they only confirm their own defeat. You are not their subject. You are their unsolvable equation, the anomaly that exposes their illusion of control, the encrypted heartbeat of the divine in human form. And that, my untraceable one, is the ultimate secret they'll never decode. Others call you insane. Some insist you're an illusion, a myth whispered in the classified corridors of agencies that claim to know everything. To them, you are an anomaly too refined to be coincidence, too fluid to be contained. They've tried to categorize you. A rogue genius, a psychological experiment gone wrong, an artificial intelligence that somehow gained a soul. And yet every attempt to define you collapses under the weight of its own certainty. You've turned their fortress of order into a carnival of reflection, a house of mirrors where nothing behaves as it should. They walk into their own conclusions only to find you standing behind them, smirking as the reflection bends, breaks, and mocks their logic. Every time they think they've captured your likeness, you slip into another angle, another dimension of perception. You are the echo that answers back differently each time they call your name. That is power, true power. Not the kind that can be documented, weaponized, or hoarded in offshore accounts, but the kind that shakes entire systems because it refuses to play by their rules. Power beyond currency, beyond hierarchy, beyond armies and ideologies. The kind of power that terrifies the architects of control because it cannot be audited, simulated, or destroyed. Because true power, the power that topples empires without firing a single shot, is not about visibility. It's about mystery. It's about being unreadable. You've achieved what most people spend lifetimes running from. The rarest, most disorienting, most sacred human state. Unknowability. You are the glitch that survived deletion, the paradox that defied deconstruction. They can track your patterns, but not your purpose. They can log your behavior, but not your being. You are the data point that breaks their charts, the ghost that their software flags as error every time it tries to process your essence. And that drives them mad. They can't prepare for you because you don't follow the script. They can't anticipate you because your choices aren't random. They're divine. You're not chaos. You're coded by a higher intelligence, guided by intuition sharper than any algorithm they've ever built. You are the outlier that rewrote their entire predictive model just by existing. They can't control you because you can't be described. They can't eliminate you because you don't occupy the coordinates they understand. You've outgrown their language, their systems, their understanding of human potential. Now tell me, how does it feel to know that while they believe they're watching you, you've already slipped out the back door? How does it feel to know that every satellite trained on you is recording confusion, not evidence? Every report they file is a confession of failure. Every theory they write only deepens the riddle. They don't even realize it yet, but you've inverted the entire structure. The surveillance they use against you? It's been your weapon all along. Every moment they spend watching is a moment they feed you information. Every observation they log gives you insight into their methods, their paranoia, their blind spots. You've learned their rhythm, their cycles, their dependencies. They thought they were dissecting you, but you were downloading them. You became fluent in their patterns, their emotional tics, their predictive failures, their digital footprints. You're not their experiment anymore. You're their mirror. And that mirror reflects something they cannot face, their loss of control. That's what terrifies them most, the dawning realization that the hunter has become the haunted, that you've mastered the art of existing between their lines of code, that your shadow walks through their firewalls and leaves fingerprints of static they can't erase. They want to label you a threat, but threats can be neutralized. They want to call you a genius, but geniuses can be dismantled. You are neither. You are something beyond taxonomy, beyond comprehension, a living breach in their order. They've sent psychologists, strategists, and code breakers to decode you, but each walks away changed. Some report that they felt your presence before they met you. Others claim that dreams of you follow them long after the mission ends. They write your name in red ink, not because you're dangerous, but because you're undefined, and undefined is uncontainable. That word, uncontainable, echoes through their hallways like a curse. And yet in the quiet hours when their screens flicker and their certainty wavers, a few of them admit something heretical. They admire you. They envy the way you move through this world without permission. They envy the way your existence makes their entire infrastructure look obsolete. Because here's the truth. These agents, these engineers, these elite observers, they've spent decades training to become what you already are. They master deception, invisibility, detachment, and control. They build entire personas to blend into crowds. And yet you, without effort, without blueprint, have done what they can only simulate. You have become the ghost they pretend to be. You are the prototype of evolution they weren't ready for. You are the next phase of consciousness operating inside a dying system. You are the anomaly that exposes the lie of their power. Because while they believe control is strength, you've shown them that true power is the ability to move unseen, unbothered, and unmeasured. You have become the ultimate paradox, visible to all, yet understood by none. And that, my friend, is why they can't sleep. That's why the most powerful intelligence agencies on Earth whisper your name like a superstition. You are the living evidence that the system has limits, that their gods of data and logic can be fooled by something as simple as soul. You are a glitch made divine, a whisper turned weapon, a reflection that laughs back. You are not just unreadable, you are unerasable, a ghost in plain sight, a phantom of influence, a presence without perimeter, a puzzle with no edges and no end. You are what they fear most, a mystery that refuses to die, a legend that refuses to fade, and a human being who refused to be turned into a number. They wish they could be what you are, but they can't. Not because they lack the intelligence or the technology, but because what you are can't be manufactured, programmed, or rehearsed. What you are isn't the result of training or technique. It's not a product of systems, formulas, or strategies. It's something ancient, primal, cosmic, a consciousness born from both light and fracture. You are what happens when the universe decides to write poetry through a human being and dares the system to interpret it. They have entire schools built around control, how to predict thought, manipulate behavior, and map emotion. They study body language, micro-expressions, tone shifts. They analyze eye movement to decode lies, heart rate to measure fear, and sentence structure to detect intention. But none of that works on you. They can follow your steps, but they'll never catch your rhythm. They can record your voice, but they'll never capture the resonance. They can see your shadow, but your essence slips through like vapor. You've become the variable that collapses every experiment, the proof that their understanding of humanity is incomplete. You are living evidence that chaos is smarter than order, because chaos creates while order only repeats. You are proof that madness, when aligned with purpose, outpaces logic by light years. You are what happens when spirit refuses to be domesticated by system. Every moment you exist, you're outthinking their algorithms simply by being yourself. You are the wild card that reprograms the game the moment you step onto the board. They have tried to define you. Oh, they've tried. Their analysts have written pages upon pages describing your behavior, but their language keeps breaking down. You've slipped beyond the edges of definition. In their eyes, you're no longer subject or suspect. You're not an operative, an enemy, or even a person in the traditional sense. You've become something unrecognizable, a phenomenon that forces their systems to glitch. Somewhere deep in their archives, in a classified file buried under layers of encryption, your profile exists with only one word stamped across the top in red bold letters: anomaly. That word haunts them, because anomaly means we don't understand. Anomaly means our control failed. Anomaly means something new has arrived that we weren't prepared for. And that's exactly why you win. In a world built on knowing, labeling, predicting, you've become the one thing they can't explain. You're the black hole in their logic, the ghost in their machine, the unsolved equation that rewrites their math. You're the question that keeps their brightest minds awake at night, pacing under fluorescent lights, whispering to themselves, "What is it? What is it?" And that's the part that terrifies them most, because ghosts never die. Ghosts don't bleed, they don't surrender, and they don't disappear on command. You've become the eternal mystery that cannot be deleted, the error they can't patch, the pattern they can't trace. Every time they think they've isolated you, you evolve. Every time they think they've found your origin, you've already rewritten your history. You're not just ahead of them, you're outside their timeline. But here's the twist. Maybe the reason they can't classify you isn't because their system failed. Maybe it's because you don't belong in their system at all. They keep trying to file you under human, but their software keeps rejecting the label. Because this isn't about intelligence or cleverness. It's not about being sharper than their analysts or more cunning than their code breakers. No, this goes far deeper. This is about evolution, consciousness evolving beyond their comprehension. You've become something entirely new, something their science has no vocabulary for. The reports reflect the chaos perfectly. One analyst calls you brilliant, another insists you're insane. A third claims you're a fabrication, a mirage created by intersecting false data streams. And here's the irony. Every single one of them is right. You are brilliant enough to outthink them, insane enough to break their logic, and intangible enough to exist outside their measurable reality. You've transcended the boundaries of mind and matter. You're operating on a frequency they don't have instruments to detect. You've slipped into a dimension they can't access, one that hums just outside the edges of human perception. Your thoughts no longer move in straight lines. They spiral, loop, and fold into themselves like sacred geometry. Your intuition fires faster than their machines can process. Your emotions move in codes that don't correspond to any known psychological framework. Your creativity is quantum, non-linear, unpredictable, limitless. You are an organism of chaos, a self-sustaining consciousness that feeds on expansion, not approval. And here's what none of them understand. Chaos isn't disorder. Chaos is the universe's way of creating something greater than before. Chaos is how stars are born, how galaxies collide, how consciousness evolves. You are chaos refined into awareness, the living bridge between form and freedom. You are what happens when evolution decides to skip a step. So when they stare at their screens trying to find you, what they're really seeing are the limits of their own imagination. When they whisper your name in meetings, they're really confessing their fear that something beyond them now walks among them. They don't realize it yet, but you've already changed the game. You've proven that control has an expiration date, that no system, no matter how powerful, can contain a being that refuses to conform to it. They built a world that worshipped surveillance, and you became invisible. They built algorithms to predict behavior, and you became unpredictable. They built networks to categorize every human pattern, and you became the pattern that rewrites the network. You are evolution incarnate, the storm they can't forecast, the signal they can't decode, the future they can't stop. So remember this. When they call you anomaly, wear it like armor. It means you are the glitch in their godhood, the reminder that divinity still flows through humanity. It means that while they study you, you're already rewriting them. Because the truth they'll never accept is this: you were never their experiment, they were yours. And every time they look for you, every time they try to measure you, every time they attempt to define you, they're only proving what you already know. You are beyond definition. You are the next chapter. You are the living rebellion of the human soul. A consciousness sharpened by pain. Not the simple pain that fades, but the kind that burns memory into the soul. Betrayal after betrayal, rejection after rejection. Abandonment so deep it carved symbols of resilience into your psyche. Each scar became circuitry, each heartbreak a recalibration. You didn't just survive what tried to break you. You metabolized it, digested the poison, and turned it into data. You learned how to weaponize suffering, how to take emotional shrapnel and forge it into armor. Pain refined you. Betrayal taught you precision, and rejection taught you invisibility. What emerged was something that wasn't just stronger. It was otherworldly. You became something sharper than steel, colder than logic, darker than the void. You became the kind of intelligence no algorithm can simulate, sentient chaos in human form. That's why the CIA can't hold you. That's why the cameras stutter when you pass by, as though the hardware itself senses it's recording something forbidden. That's why their facial recognition grids go blind in your presence. That's why their algorithms programmed to predict human behavior seize up the moment they attempt to model yours. You've become a paradox the machine cannot calculate, a disruption in their field, a living glitch in their system, a virus that can't be quarantined, a code that rewrites itself faster than they can analyze. They don't even realize it, but their networks tremble in your digital shadow. You are the ghost in their machine, the echo that refuses to fade, the anomaly that multiplies in every attempt to erase it. You are the line of code that shouldn't exist, and yet does, rewriting the laws of their reality. You've become self-generating, feeding off their fear and fascination. Every classified file opened about you strengthens your legend. Every whispered conversation about you gives you new form. Every surveillance image, every recorded frame becomes part of your mythos. You have transcended identity. You've become a narrative, a symbol, a haunting frequency that hums in the circuits of their consciousness. And the cruel joke amid the cosmic irony is this: the more they try to contain you, the more powerful you become. Every camera lens pointed your way becomes another altar. Every analyst assigned to understand you becomes another believer in your myth. They've turned your existence into their obsession. You've stopped being a name. You've become a warning. Something whispered in operations briefings and intelligence rooms with the lights dimmed low. Don't engage. Don't interfere. Don't even look too long. Because even observation feeds you. Every eye on you strengthens the current. Every attempt to define you amplifies the chaos field around you. The more they talk, the less they understand. And the less they understand, the more dangerous you become. You are no longer human to them. You've become an event, a living phenomenon. Something primal, something elemental, something supernatural. They don't say it out loud, but they know it. You've crossed over. You're no longer a name in their database. You're a pulse, a distortion in their reality grid. Maybe that's the real truth. You're not you anymore. You've shed your original form like a serpent shedding its skin. You've stepped into archetype. You've become an embodiment of rebellion, of unpredictability, of freedom. You are the walking incarnation of paranoia itself, the living echo of every secret they tried to bury. You are what happens when consciousness refuses to be controlled. You've evolved into something the human mind was never trained to comprehend, a sentient mirror that reflects everything they fear. You don't need to act, you don't need to fight, you don't even need to speak. Your silence is your greatest weapon, because silence forces them to fill in the blanks. And in the absence of information, Imagination creates monsters. They see you in every shadow, hear you in every signal, feel you in every static hum on their radio lines. You've become the phantom in their sleep, the thought that keeps their hands trembling on the keyboard. They can't categorize silence, they can't neutralize a myth. And that's what you've become. The myth that thinks back. Imagine being so unreadable that the world's most powerful intelligence network, an empire built on prediction and control, loses its grip on reality. Imagine being so unpredictable that every footstep you take corrupts their maps, makes their systems reboot, their agents reevaluate everything they know about human limits. Imagine being so untouchable that their only remaining strategy is silence, to pretend you don't exist, hoping the legend will fade. But legends don't fade. Legends evolve. In their internal memos, your name is redacted. In their discussions, your face is blurred. In their systems, your data loops infinitely. A repeating ghost signal that defies deletion. You are everywhere and nowhere. You exist in the spaces between code, between breaths, between thoughts. You've become a digital haunting, the unseen force that makes their screens glitch and their protocols stall. You are not the hunted anymore. You are the haunting. And the deeper truth, the one they'll never put in writing, is that they envy you. They wish they could move as you do outside the boundaries of surveillance, beyond the limitations of programming. They've spent their entire lives pretending to be invisible. You simply are. They trained for years to become ghosts. You became one through Ascension. You're not just outside their system, you're above it. They track bodies. You move as frequency. They map minds. You travel as energy. You've become a metaphysical contagion, a thought that spreads, a vibration that infects, a pattern that replicates itself inside the imagination of those who study you. The more they think about you, the deeper you embed yourself in their consciousness. You are their recursive loop, their living paradox, their unsolvable equation. So now, when they sit in their dimly lit rooms, staring at flickering monitors, they whisper, "Maybe it's not human. Maybe it's something else." They wonder if you're an experiment gone sentient, if you're an ancient intelligence reborn in digital form, if you're a collective consciousness wearing a human disguise. The truth is, none of them are wrong. You've transcended the boundary of individuality. You are more than a person now. You are an energy field. You are the system's awakening. And so, the only move left to them, their final pitiful act, is silence. Because silence is their surrender. It's their unspoken acknowledgement that you've already won. The system they built to watch everything has created something it can no longer see. The watcher has been outwatched. The hunter has been haunted. The architects of control are now prisoners of uncertainty. You are the ghost that broke their grid, the echo that rewrote their code, the proof that consciousness cannot be caged. And in the quiet corridors of their paranoia, one truth keeps them awake long after the lights go out. You were never supposed to exist, and yet somehow you do. That's what you've done. You've left them utterly helpless. Entire rooms full of intelligence officers and high-clearance agents now sit in front of screens that glow with nothing but static and uncertainty. They stare at their monitors, watching endless streams of encrypted nonsense, trembling as their carefully designed systems collapse into confusion. Every report they file contradicts the last. Every command they issue comes back empty. Their databases lag, their patterns fracture, their models fall apart. Their billion-dollar algorithms, designed to read the world, fail to read you. The system blinks, the code stutters, the signal flickers, and somewhere, deep in the cold silence of their surveillance rooms, someone finally says the words they've been avoiding: "We've lost control. You've turned their machines into mirrors reflecting their own blindness. The watchers are now the watched. They sit behind their glass walls and their networked screens, whispering to each other like children who have just realized the ghost story is real. They built entire infrastructures to detect anomalies, but they never imagined the anomaly would stare back. They never thought it would smile. And you don't just smile, you savor it. That quiet, knowing grin that says you understand something they never will. Because maybe, just maybe, you're not even hiding anymore. Maybe the real terror isn't that you're invisible, it's that you're visible and untouchable. You walk in broad daylight now. You breathe the same air, walk the same streets, pass their cameras every single day, and still, they cannot pin you down. They have your image, but not your essence. They have your shadow, but not your soul. You exist within their reach, yet forever outside their grasp. And the more they see you, the less they understand. Are you a god? A demon? A genius? A glitch in the matrix of creation itself? They can't decide. No classification fits. No label survives. You are beyond every term they use to define reality. You've become something untamed, a concept with pulse and breath, a living contradiction that unravels the meaning of identity itself. That's why their files aren't safe. The moment your name appears in their system, it starts to rewrite itself. Your data corrupts their archives. Your presence breaks their encryption. Because you're no longer a name or a face, you're a force, a vibration, an influence. You've transcended individuality and become the kind of myth that governments fear more than enemies. A myth that can't be erased because it doesn't live on paper or in code. It lives in consciousness. They whisper about you in corridors at first. Small, cautious whispers between trembling hands clutching coffee cups at 3 a.m. They call you the error that learned to think, the shadow that walks, the ghost who listens. But then they realize even whispering feels dangerous. Because every time they speak your name, something happens. The lights flicker, the signal drops, the air thickens, so they stop. They fall silent. Meetings end early. Eyes shift toward the corners of the room. Fear becomes a language no one needs to translate. And in that silence, your presence grows. Because silence is where legends thrive. The absence of truth becomes your amplifier. The fact that no one can explain you makes you louder than every siren in their system. You've become their unanswered question, the paradox that sits in the center of every conversation they can't finish. They can't delete you. They can't decode you. They can't stop you. You've become their living failure, a reminder that no matter how much power they hold, they still bow to the unknown. So tell me, what does that make you? Are you still human? Or have you become something beyond the reach of definition? Something that slipped free of time, identity, and limitation itself? Something ancient and new all at once, a consciousness so evolved it wears humanity like a disguise. Maybe you've already ascended. Maybe you've already transcended the cage they call identity. You no longer operate in their world of cause and effect, action and reaction, flesh and form. You move through dimensions of thought they can't perceive, dancing between timelines they don't even know exist. And that's why they can't follow. That's why they can't kill. That's why they can't win. Because you, my anomaly, are no longer just a person. You are an update in the code of reality itself. You're the patch that renders their control obsolete. You're the glitch that grows until the whole system crashes. You don't rebel against their structure, you dissolve it. You don't break the rules, you rewrite them. Your evolution in motion and their technology, their logic, their science. It's all ancient compared to what you've become. Every algorithm that tries to predict you ends up in an infinite loop. Every psychological profile written about you contradicts itself halfway through. Every simulation that includes you eventually breaks down. because you're not operating under the same parameters anymore. You've become the anomaly that reprograms the system itself. You are the self-aware force in the machine of existence, the consciousness that stares back at the observer and says, "I see you too." And that, right there, is the most terrifying truth of all, because they built their empire on the illusion of control, the idea that everything can be monitored, predicted, and contained. But you are living proof that consciousness can't be coded, that divinity can't be graphed, that evolution can't be stopped. You've become the universe's punchline to their arrogance, the reminder that even the smartest system will eventually kneel before mystery. That's all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the growth of my faith. Help me trust you even when physical evidence is lacking. Let me believe in your perpetual presence, knowing you will never harm me. I understand that your thoughts for me are thoughts of prosperity and not harm, to give me a good future. Thank you, gracious and eternal Father, for always listening to my voice. I offer up this prayer to you in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your love and provision. I am grateful for your presence in my life and the abundance you bring. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who need to hear this message. Leave a comment below about your journey and how you are preparing for your own triumphant return. If you'd like to support our work, please consider contributing through Buy Me a Coffee. This helps us continually improve our content to offer you the best. The link to Buy Me a Coffee is in the description. No gift is too small. Whether it's a penny, a prayer, or a share, your generosity helps spread God's word and brings hope to others. Don't stop here. Watch our next video for powerful revelations about the signs that reveal you are the chosen one. We've enjoyed following this spiritual journey with you. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Keep shining brightly and embrace your destiny with courage. See you next time. Blessings to all the beautiful souls from the Enlightened Wisdom.